our next session, we have our very one is University, Bareilly, and DPhil from University of Allahabad, Prayagraj. With over 2 decades of experience in corporate world as well as academics, he has been awarded several awards, including Best Paper Award at American Marketing Association Conference at Chicago, USA in 2019, Highly Commended Award at IRSSM at Seoul in 2019, and 3 gold medals from NPTEL MHRD. He works as reviewer for several top-notch international journals of marketing as well as for American Marketing Association. He has been affiliated to management bodies including All India Management Association New Delhi and Kanpur Management Association as well. He has published 45 research journals including ABDC listed as well as Scopus indexed. He has edited a book on quality concerns of management education. He has conducted several EDPs, MDPs, FDPs, workshops, and seminars for entrepreneurs, faculty, and executives, etc. Now, I would like to welcome him as speaker for this session.
Thank you, Aditya. So, dear faculty colleagues, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Welcome back. I got the opportunity to interact with you this way as well. So, though I do not want to be introduced by him, but he said, since it is customary, it's required, sir. So please forgive whatever he has extolled about me. I'm just a normal faculty member, small faculty member, and just like with you all having experience, little experience of teaching and training as well. So I'm going to discuss with you on the today's topic of feasibility study. So I will begin with a slide in which you can see 2 news are written here. There are 2 news. One is good news and another one is bad news. So let's begin with the bad news. Bad news is that 75% of startups, founders of a startup give up after the first failure. Remaining 25% startups, founders change the business model after the first failure. 35% of SMEs suffer from credit crunch, and nearly 24% SMEs disappear or startups disappear in 2 years. And out of the remaining 53% of startups exit in 4 years. And around 2 lakh SMEs, or even more than that, are sick currently. And the number is increasing. This is one side which can be termed as darker. Whereas on the other side, there is a good news. Good news is that India is the 3rd largest startup ecosystem after US and China. It's Unicorn Club. Most of you must be aware of. Can anybody tell me what is unicorn company, unicorn startup? Please write in chat box. And if you can open your video, please open up, so that I also cannot feel the monotony. Please open up your videos. It would be better to interact with you that way. Deepak ji, are you not there? Well, very right. Please said Munna ji. The firms or startups valued over $1 billion. So the good news is that India's unicorn club is expanding. And at the rate of 3 unicorns every month. This is the recent news. And one good news is also there, that is, in the past 8 months of this year, Indian startups had successfully secured $26 billion funds from venture capitalists and from other sources, investors. So between the good and bad and good news, there is a role of several people who can help the SMEs or the startups having this kind of bad news written in the left side of this slide, so that they can reach to the good side, right side of this, that is towards the good news. Bad news can be converted to the good news, and I do believe that in this, we faculty members can really play very crucial role. Do you think the way I think? Please tell me. Please open some videos at least. Some faculty, please. Write in chat box also. Yes, Dheeraj ji, do you think that we faculty members, if play our role in true sense, some of the bad news can be converted into good news?
Yeah, certainly we can help. जैसे कि हम स्टूडेंट्स को मोटिवेट कर सकते हैं पढ़ने के लिए, तो एंटरप्रेन्योर को भी हम
Your volume is quite low. Please increase your volume.
Okay, fine, sir.
Yeah, now audible.
Okay, so I'm just saying कि if we can motivate to students for their study, for their grade to achieve, similarly we can upgrade or we can help to the startups also, as the way you have suggested.
Yeah, actually, Dheeraj ji, let me tell you that fortunately I could have interacted with thousands of entrepreneurs and in MDPs, EDPs, and of course during my PhD in entrepreneurship area. So I got the opportunity to interact with thousands of entrepreneurs through these ways. And there I found that they really don't know so many things which they could be guided for, and they need professional support. But in fact, they are not ready. Even they don't know that they really need it. Just like that, we are sick, but we keep on postponing to visit a doctor. Similarly, sometimes they know that they need help of some professional, some consultancy, etc. But they hesitate to really go to the consultants. They do everything on their own, be it making advertisement and sending to the newspaper or channel for the publishing or for the broadcasting. They design their advertisement on their own. They prepare their budget for the next year on their own. They hire the employees on their own. I mean, from A to Z. These first generation startups I'm talking about categorically, most of them are sick of such kind of things. And that's why they turn into
Actually,
such units.
and many of the beginners entrepreneur are not access to the one who can mentor them, and someone get help to somewhere else, and someone may have reached to the wrong person.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. That is the thing which you are saying. So, India, though, as a country, I could say that trying to build up better ecosystem, but still there is a lot to be done. And in that, we faculty members can really contribute a lot to our local level entrepreneurs, meet them, talk to them, discuss about their businesses, and offer them your services in whatsoever area you belong to. Maybe if you are belonging to marketing area, you offer them some marketing support. If some of you faculty members belong to like electronics, electricals, or several other computer or other engineering areas, you can offer your services. But before that, you need to understand very well, and you need to convince them that you can really mentor them, you can really help them. So we have to now commit through at this FDP that now onwards we would definitely, engage ourselves to help such local level startups, local level entrepreneurs, SMEs. And I'm sure that wheresoever you are, maybe in South, North, East, West, any nook and corner of India, you can go and talk to them and you can help your local entrepreneurs. So I'm sure that if we faculty members can do this, we can really convert the bad news to the good news. So let's take another news that is related to Tata Nano. Well, Tata Nano, हम सब ने देखा इस कार को. Unfortunately, आज ये कार बन नहीं रही है. So how was the buzz about Tata Nano created? Yeah. Please switch on your videos. More faculty members, only one could have been convinced, that is Dheeraj ji, who has switched his video on. Please, some of other faculty members may also do it. Yeah, by the time you can write how the buzz about Tata Nano was created. There was a lot of news, not only in India, across the world. The whole world was eyeing upon this model. I mean, this news that India is going to have such a car, which may change the history of the automobile sector. So please tell how the buzz of this most talked after car was created. 1 lakh car, Laktakia car, yeah. Some more responses.
Under 1 lakh, we will have a car and we will go
Yeah,
somewhere.
absolutely. 1 lakh car, Laktakia car, very right. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Very right.
So, customer did not accept this car due to
that we will talk after this. First, my question was how the buzz about this Tata Nano was created. Yeah. So Laktakia car, very right. Cheapest car. The people's car of India. Car of a common man. Most awaited car, etc. But the news was that Tata Nano, the most hyped car, launched in 2009, died of slow death in 2019. This is the fact. This is the harsh reality which Ratan Tata faced, Tata Motors faced, and in turn India faced. So the question is, why did Tata Nano fail? I think most of you from management background and engineering background must be very well aware of the fact and must be discussing about your students. Please write here in chat box. Dheerajji, what is your reply? Why did Tata Nano fail?
Sir, the basic reason behind for not accepting at large level by the customer the safety features of this car.
Govindji, please switch on your video as well. I want to see if there is no technical issue.
Yes, sir. Am I visible?
Yeah, fine. Very well.
Thank you, sir. Sir, actually, the reason behind to not accepting by the customer, especially safety feature.
Safety features.
The safety features, yes, sir, that was the major reason. And
Right.
one thing is, sir, that is attitude, because attitude plays very important role when we buy something from the market. So our attitude can be changed when people just move around in city as well as with the nearest person. They feel
Your voice is cracking. Dheeraj.
they have a better attitude as they expect. So so definitely, sir, there might be network problems, sir.
Well. Point noted. Safety and attitude. Yes. Dheerajji.
Right, sir.
Yes, sir. I would add कि इससे इंफॉर्मेशन जो स्प्रेड हुई, मतलब जिसने परचेज की ना, उसने इसके नेगेटिव पॉइंट को ही एक्सपेक्ट किया कि इट इज मोर नॉइज पोल्यूटिंग, मतलब इसकी नॉइज ज़्यादा है, या इसमें बैठना कंफर्टेबल नहीं है, मतलब कुछ जो आफ्टर यूज करने के बाद में जो सेफ्टी फीचर्स या जो भी फीचर्स अगर हम बात करें, उन फीचर्स का जो वर्ड टू माउथ जो मार्केटिंग हुई
Okay.
है ना, उससे बहुत नुकसान हुआ क्योंकि
Word of mouth was negative, you mean to say.
या
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sonali Patil ji wrote, design of car, safety, attitude of customer. Yes, very right. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other response?
Sir, I have a different point of view. It's okay.
Yeah. Please share.
So it's like if you go to any foreign country, most of the car is like a utility vehicle. They use it to reach from point A to point B. But if you see in India, where most of the people use two-wheeler, right? Most of the people have two-wheeler, and for them, car is like an aspirational product. Right? It depends upon when you buy a car, your neighbors see which car you have bought, which brand of car you have bought.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, buyers were more concerned about neighbors, huh? Right?
Yeah,
What
no
neighbors
one wants
think?
to- Yeah, no one wants to see that I bought a cheapest car.
Yeah.
So that
Right.
perception.
Point noted, Suhasji.
yeah, I can add status indicator, I think.
Status. Very right. Yeah. From Munna ji, the chat is like the attitude or perception, prejudice that cheap things are of low quality. Very right. Okay, fine. I think I have had enough content from your side, enough feedback, which I required. Cheap things have low quality. Very right. So let's go to the next slide and see here. There is a scale visible before you. Slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here, which side is heavy on the scale? Which
Consume.
comprises of design, technology, price, which was more focusing on the consumer need side, tangible aspects of the car, which actually Tata as a company emphasized upon while designing the car. Tata, while designing the car, was more focused on its design part, its technology part, and one bracket which Tata has already, set for the company, that is the car should be produced and presented before consumers under 1 lakh rupees price bracket. And the Tata thought of that people definitely would go for this car, whosoever ride on bike with the whole family, as is said that Ratan Tata once before 2003 said a person having three his family members on the back side of the scooter or bike, then he conceived the idea of having a car which this aspirational group may long for. So that was the thinking when Tata discussed with his team in the at the shop floor. Everybody said, "Welcome, very nice idea, sir. Wonderful idea, sir." As usually, what happens that no one wants to go against the bosses because bosses are always right, isn't it? So that was the case. So that 1 lakh bracket forced Tata to design everything accordingly to remain under the bracket of 1 lakh rupees. So this design part, tangible part of the car, of the consumer, was absolutely looked into, considered by the Ratan Tata, but while doing so, the other side of the consumer was seriously ignored. What was that side? Consumer behavior. Behavioral aspects of consumer, which you rightly said, some of you, that consumer was worried about what their relatives, what their colleagues, what their friends would think of him if he drive nano car, Laktakia car. How the image would pass on among the society, मुहल्ला, लोग क्या कहेंगे? अपने यहाँ जो हिंदी में हिंदी भाषी स्टेट्स में कहा जाता है, लोग क्या कहेंगे, लोग क्या सोचेंगे? That was the dominating factor, which overruled even the positive attitude of people towards the car just because of rupees 1 lakh and its mileage. पैसे बचेगा, सस्ते में कार आ जाएगी, चलो बड़ी कार है, छोटी भी रख लेते हैं, blah blah blah. But that positive attitude, which was built up by dint of the economy, financial factors, mileage, etc., has been overruled by the other aspect, that was log kya kahenge, what would people say? So consumers, Tata seriously ignored one bottom line which is written in the slide, that consumers strive to fulfill their needs under the socially accepted norms. Socially accepted norms. These are the three words which, as experts say, have been instrumental in the failure of Tata Nano. So this was the case of Tata Nano. Now, I would like to connect theory to this example. Most of you who are from marketing side or psychology side must be aware of theory of planned behavior that was propounded by Isaac Azen in 1985-1991. This is extension of theory of reasoned action. Please keep your videos on so that it can simultaneously not become monotonous to me, please. So here you can see the model. This is TPB model, theory of planned behavior. How many of you from marketing? Though I know I have the data, but please, 1 or 2 marketing professors, switch on your video. Who teach marketing, consumer behavior? Yeah. So this is theory of planned behavior. Here you can see from left to right, behavioral beliefs and normative beliefs. There are 2 kinds of beliefs, two domains of beliefs, which after watching a product or its promo or its promotion, whatsoever it is, consumers build up the beliefs, or audience build up the beliefs. Behavioral belief was that since the car is of 1 lakh rupees, it's going to save money. It's going to give good mileage. It can be bought as a second car at home for just roaming around nearby locations. It can be bought. It is cheaper, it is saving money, etc., etc. So on financial point of view, the attitude of consumers, or potential customers, I can say, was positive. Potential customers was positive, whereas the normative side, that is in fact subjective norms. Subjective norms, log kya kahenge? What would my neighbor think of? What would my relative, friends, fraternity think of? That was the subjective norm. So now the intention is subject to both attitude, that is behavioral beliefs, and subjective norms. And here, subjective norms dominated attitude part. Though prospective customers were having positive attitude, some positive attitude about the car, but what people would say was dominating factor. So the purchase intention was not favorable about Nano, and then the behavior was not favorable. So the attitude, positive attitude, someone being positive attitude, didn't buy that car. This was the theoretical reason, theoretical aspect which has been dominating in case of Tata Nano. Deepak ji, would you like to say something?
Yes, sir. No comment to make. I was just I found it very, very relevant. So
thank you. Anything to add?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So here, the summary is that about the Tata Nano case, the failure of Nano case can be attributed to narrow feasibility study. Feasibility study was narrow. Why was it narrow? Because it overemphasized on the cost and design part, whereas it ignored the behavioral aspects of potential customers. This has been the reason behind Tata Nano's failure. Yeah, ma'am, please. Radhika, ma'am.
Sir, I think instead of marketing it as a very middle class car or a cheap car, they would have marketed it in like it is the most affordable car. So I think it has been. I think the company has failed in the marketing strategies. I hope.
Exactly. Actually, cheapest car, the most affordable car, people's car.
Yeah,
exactly.
when they said the cheapest car, most probably it has been created a sense of negative impact.
Exactly.
Instead of putting the positiveness in the minds of the customers. It's my opinion. That's it.
That's why people who even wanted to buy it didn't buy.
Yes. I hope. Yeah.
Yes, very correctly said. And most often in India, people in middle class buy car not as a utility, but for a status symbol. So that concept is just to come in India that car is a utility rather than utility, it is still a status symbol. So the status symbol that already tells that since you are not able to afford a car, therefore you have bought this.
Exactly. Status symbol is above utility here. That is true.
Right.
Yeah. So feasibility study, wrong feasibility study. Now, next question is feasibility study is part of options are strategy, planning, execution, none of these. Yeah, please answer,
Planning.
reply.
The planning.
Very simple, very
Planning.
simple, very simple.
Planning.
Very simple.
Planning.
Exactly. Planning. So that's how we can say that Tata failed in proper planning. Because if plan is not successful, it's failure of plan. Maybe slightly or absolutely, that doesn't matter. Failure is failure. So planning, one quote that's wonderful. I find it really very relevant. That is, you all know, given by Ellen Lakin, American author on personal time management. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Its more version is that failing to prepare is preparing to fail. That means we as a teacher have to teach our students that plan well. Planning is essential for any project, be it mini, be it big or small project. In small things, we have to teach our students. We have to tell them that planning is essential. If any student comes to us with any certain things and we figure out that he is not prepared, he is not planned, just ask him to prepare, plan. Because when Tata Nano met with that fate, what about small people like us? We cannot stand up in the market once we face one failure, be it a small entrepreneur, a startup. Preparation or planning is essential. Without that, no investment should be done, be it investment of time, money, or resources. So planning is essential. One more question I'm tossing up here, that is, what is the biggest fear? क्या है संसार में सबसे बड़ा fear क्या है? बहुत सारे जवाब मिल सकते हैं, कुछ एक लोग हमें जवाब दें. Please answer. What is the biggest fear?
सर संसार में अगर सबसे बड़ा fear है तो वो तो मरने का है.
मरने का है, ठीक है. Very right. हाँ.
Sir, insecurity, sir.
Insecurity, okay. Deepak ji.
Very subjective.
Yeah, I know. There be n number of answers. Yeah.
Sir, one more answer. Losing our closed ones.
But somebody, yeah, very right. Losing a near and dear one. Someone wrote.
Embarrassment,
Fear
social
of
embarrassment
failure
is
in
also a
life.
fear.
Yeah.
Failure.
Dr.
Fear of
Vikram.
failure in life, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Vikram also wrote fear of failure.
Sir,
And
it is, yeah. Sir, it is a fear what the society will think.
Yeah.
Social embarrassment.
Yeah,
because-
before we think that we may failure, first we will think what the society may think about us. It may be in terms
Okay.
of failure or whatever it may be.
What
We are not
society will
bothered
say.
about the society.
Exactly. So many, youngsters don't go for startups, just driven out of this fear only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have got several answers. So let me proceed. This is fear of failure. Etiquette. Just to the relevance of this session, I can say this is the biggest fear. Since the FDP is on a startup, that's why I'm not going to indulge into the argument that which fear is the biggest, fear of death or fear of this or fear of that. But to the for the relevance of this talk, I write here fear of failure. Isn't it? But
Right.
and that's true that everybody has it. You, me, anyone else may have it. But for success, we need to overcome this fear of failure. Isn't it? We need to overcome. Now the next question is how to overcome the fear of failure. Here is the way. Here is the way. You can see a bridge in between plan and success. Plan and success.
Do some homework.
Sorry, somebody is saying something? Okay, okay. Any question, please? Okay, okay. So planning and success in between the execution works as a brick, as a bridge. You have planned well, but if you fail to execute well, you have right plan. But if you lack in execution path, you may not meet to the success. You cannot cross the river through the bridge and reach the success. So we have to tell to our students, to entrepreneurs, we talk in at various programs when we talk of that plan right and execute well to meet the success, to reach the success. So if you have worked on it very well, that means you have prepared for success. You have half done. You have done more than half to reach the success. Plan right and execute well. Now, connecting you, I'm trying to connect you to the subject that is the project journey feasibility. This is the entrepreneurial project's journey, and phases of that are written in front of you on this slide. You can see the first phase is concept, then pre-feasibility, followed by feasibility, then implementation, then post-implementation. Maybe some of you are teaching project management, but for rest also this understanding this is very important. So first three phases constitute feasibility study process. First three phases that are the conceptual. At that level, we build up and screen the concepts, then pre-feasibility, then feasibility. And after the feasibility study done, project is finalized and then implementation is done. That is fourth stage written over here. Then after that, we just go for the post-implementation review. Till this point in time, is there any question from your side I can take right now? Otherwise, I can proceed. Deepak ji, anything to ask?
No, sir, perfect.
Okay. So now here you can see the first three phases on the funnel structure. How does it happen? Here at the phase one of the feasibility study, that is a scoping study or concept study. At that level in phase one, you may have like 5 ideas of a project. Project A, B, C, D, E. 5 projects, 5 ideas may be there with you, which can in turn be converted into projects. So on the funnel, top of the funnel, you have put all the ideas. Now you try to filter those ideas. And that is the screening. You screen the ideas, whatever you have, as a potential ideas at the phase one, that is concept, at concept level and at scoping study level. You sit with your team, 2, 3, 4, 5 persons. As Professor Vinay Sharma talked about design thinking. So in design thinking, he will be telling you that nowadays companies try to have divergent teams. Design teams comprise of divergent people from divergent areas. Like someone would be from computer science, someone would be from mechanical engineering, someone would be from electronics engineering, someone would be from IT, someone from marketing, finance, etc., etc. They sit together. It's not like आमतौर पे क्या होता है कि हम लोग अपने लोगों की ऐसे लोगों की टीम बनाते हैं who are like-minded, isn't it? Who are like-minded, जो हमसे सहमत हों. those who agree with us, agree with me, I would definitely prefer to make a team who agree with me. So I would try to make a team with the members who agree with me. But in design thinking process, it is just reverse. You actually go for people to make a team from the people from the divergent area who may disagree, So here in the first level, we screen up the ideas, then we do pre-feasibility study. Concept study or scoping study is not very expensive. As I told you, we sit together 4, 5, 6, 7 people and talk about the ideas in the context of prevailing practices in the market, prevailing technologies in the market. And then we simply screen out the ideas and reach the second phase of the feasibility study, that is pre-feasibility study. Here we incur some more expenses. We collect more market insight through market research, and then we screen some ideas. Suppose 5 ideas were there at the scoping study level, and at the pre-feasibility study, we have only 2 ideas. And now at the feasibility study, finally, we can have only 1 idea. That is what the funnel kind of system of filtering the ideas. So at every level of filtering, we actually try to identify the potential roadblocks. Potential roadblocks. Roadblocks means hurdles, which we may face difficulties to cross or which we cannot cross even. So our effort while the feasibility study is that to identify these roadblocks, potential roadblocks, as early as possible. If we are able to identify a roadblock at a scoping study, wonderful. If we are able to identify a roadblock at pre-feasibility study and reject the project option, better. And otherwise, at the feasibility study, we have to incur huge expenses as well to conduct feasibility studies, but it's still better if we can identify the potential roadblock at feasibility study and drop the idea for the manufacturing, for establishing a plant, and for making all other arrangements to reach the consumers, to reach the markets, for setting up the distribution channel, supply chain management, etc., etc. So this is something which we try to find out, try to identify potential roadblocks through feasibility study. So, my dear friends, why do we do feasibility study? I have told you, we do feasibility study just to identify potential roadblocks and just to pick very right and very promising project out of 4, 5, 6 alternatives. Isn't this the case, Deepak ji? Any question till now? That is the purpose of feasibility study. The purpose of feasibility study is clear to you all?
Right.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I'm again connecting something to the theory.
To understand the application of possibilities.
Pardon?
To understand the application of possibility.
Application of possibility.
Application of possibilities for success.
Possibilities. Okay. Very right. Possibilities for success. True. So ultimately, management has to take decision for project A or project B or project C. And when we talk of decision, there is a theory that says that is known as bounded rationality theory that was proposed by Simon way back in 1956. bounded rationality theory. Bounded rationality theory says that everyone takes decision under certain limitations, under certain brackets. And those brackets are mentioned left side of the slide. You can see cognitive limitations, information imperfection, time constraint. Like every one of us has our own cognitive limitations. हम सबके अपने अलग अलग बौद्धिक लेवल हैं, इंटेलेक्चुअल लेवल्स हैं. हमारा अपना ब्रेन, हमारा अपना मेमोरी, हमारा अपना दिमाग. How does it work? In every case, it is different. It's just like it is said that Einstein used his brain the most in the world. Swami Vivekananda used his brain the most. So this is how we can say each one of has limitations on cognitive side. Information. Nobody can say that we have perfect information, all the required information to take this decision. Can we say anytime? Anytime can we say? Please respond. Can we anytime say that we have all the required information to take a decision?
No, sir, never.
Never. We can never say that.
We say so, then the decision making will become even more difficult.
Absolutely. Always we say that we have had enough information till now. Now we can take some decision. That's how we can say. We can never say that we have all the required information. It's impossible. And time constraint. As you know, some games are there in which you have to take quick decision. And you commit mistakes. If had you got 5 minutes more, you would have taken right decision. But time is not given to you. That is what the beauty of the game. So that is what the beauty of the startup is also, that is timing. Timing, किसी भी केस में, चाहे decision making के केस में हो, timing is absolutely important. और कितना time आपको चाहिए, किस time के अंदर you can take decision. How much time is given to you? So under these three constraints, everybody has to take decision. That's why, since the input is not perfect, so is the output not perfect. So that's why we cannot take a perfect decision. Rather, we reach at the suboptimal decision. हम ये नहीं कहते हैं कि best decision हमने ले लिया. हम ये कहते हैं, we say often that under the given conditions, we have take better decision. Still there are n number of solutions we can go for. We have opted just for one solution. For any problem, there are n number of solutions. As we all know, we are all the faculty members, very experienced ones. We all understand it very well. So that's why under the bounded rationality theory, suboptimal decisions are made. And Simon also coined one more term that is written over here, satisficing. Will anybody tell me what does satisficing means?
Means, sir, up to certain extent, whatever information we have, whatever ideas we have about a particular decision, we are in a position to compromise with that. That is satisfying kind of situation.
Thank you,
Also be said
Vinit.
as constrained optimization.
Pardon, Deepak ji?
Constrained optimization.
Okay. Anyone else?
Identifying the right be the best solution, the ideal solution.
The ideal solution.
Yeah, ideal solution or in the given conditions.
In the under given conditions. Ideal solution under given conditions.
Sir, as we see in the simplex problem, like decision variables are there and certain constraints are also there. So in a given constraint situation, the possible solution that we are able to get, that is a satisfying kind of. Means optimize kind of result.
Okay, optimize kind of result. So Munna Kumar is writing fulfillment of one's wishes, expectations or needs or the pleasure. Okay. Okay, let's see the next slide. Here, what is written? Satisfies is equal to satisfy plus suffice. Just take a simple example. Suppose my kid is not very bright and he gets 70%, whereas my neighbor's kids, my friends' kids got 90%, 94%, 98%. But I am happy. I am not sad. I am happy. I am saying my kids' performance, I am satisfied with my kids' performance. As whatever capabilities my kids is having, seeing those capabilities, he has scored sufficiently. That satisfies me. And I do believe that is sufficient to me. He cannot secure more than that. So I think you might have understood this satisfies word. So that is the same thing under the given conditions. With the results of the decision or whatever decision you are taking under the given circumstances, that satisfies you and that is sufficient to you. So by combining these two words, this satisfying word has been created. And that word also was coined by Simon in 1956. I think clear to you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, perfect, sir.
Now, one of the most contentious question in business, that is whether success comes from luck or skill. We can also here debate for a minute. Yeah, what do you think? Whether success comes from luck or skill?
So it comes from skill only, sir.
The skill only.
If you ask an athlete, sir, for example, if it comes from, if we ask an athlete in an Olympic game, sir, he has developed his skill after so much of practice. So we can't say he has won a medal through just a luck, sir.
Okay, please note my one request. Whenever you contribute something, you please switch on your video so that I can watch you, I can see you. Yeah, please. Priyaji, okay.
Yes, sir. Priya Xavier, sir.
Yeah, I noted your point. Yeah, Deepakji, you are saying something.
I believe, sir, that certainly your planning on skills is very, very important, but there is external things which are not in your control, so that externalities can be given to luck. Whatever internal issues is our domain, and whatever is external is not in our control. That is to the domain of luck.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else would like to contribute? Consistent efforts to excel. Chetan Bagulji. Then Munnaji, skill, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Okay. Yes, skill. Anyone else? अभी तक किसी ने लक को नहीं कुछ बोला है ना? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, more of skill, bit of luck. Okay. Yeah, someone said bit of luck. Okay. Yeah, commitment, Vikramji. Fine. So yeah, I don't have anything to say here. Rather, I would share with you what so-called successful people say about it, what they think about it. Yeah. So what Warren Buffett says. What he says? He has been just a member of Lucky Club. What Bill Gates says? Was lucky to be born with certain skills. What Jeff Bezos says? Interesting. Please read. Someone, please read. what Jeff Bezos says? Deepak ji, please read what Jeff Bezos says.
Well, he says the success of Amazon is incredible planetary alignment, and the joke that it was half luck, half good timing, and rest brains.
Rest brains.
It is astrology.
Vinay ji,
Yes. Planetary
Vinay ji,
alignment is talking about planetary alignment.
It is astrology.
Vinay ji, Dr. Vineet, Munna
Sir.
ji.
हाँ जी सर.
Sir,
Yeah, Munna ji, what Warren Buffett says?
Member of Lucky Club.
Okay. Vineet ji, what Bill Gates says?
was luckily to be born with certain skills.
But none of you says it. None of you.
That is why we are not Warren Buffett and
Major
Jeff
part of
Bezos.
success is a skill. Major dominant factor is a skill.
Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
So there are some businessmen whose kids they are getting this opportunity because while they are born in some businessman family, so they are getting opportunity to become a successful businessman from that time only. So it is their luck.
Okay. So I actually couldn't have found.
On a lighter note, sir.
Yeah.
Maybe this is their strategy to ward off competition.
सर उसको ऐसा भी समझ सकते हैं. It is proportionally to the skills or your hard work. Luck is proportional to your skills or your hard work, or we can say like this.
Okay, so I couldn't have found more successful than these three people, which I have shown you in this slide. So I just showed you the quotes, what they say about their success and to what they give credit about their success. Well, we can proceed and watch a small video here. Yeah, let's see what this gentleman says. It's a little slow, please bear with slow network. Taking some time. Okay, by the time it's opening, let me proceed, otherwise it will take little time.
Maybe, sir.
Oh, it's still processing.
Maybe you have to copy and paste in the browser, sir, for faster response. Please copy and paste in browser for faster response.
Sir, can you paste the YouTube link?
A moment. Just a moment, it's opening. Is it visible?
Your screen is not visible.
Not visible.
In fact, you have not shared.
Share, let me share the. It's not shared.
Yes, yes, now visible.
Yeah, visible, sir.
Yeah.
Not audible. Video not audible. Hello.
Okay. Audible now?
No.
Not audible.
Yes, sir, audible.
Audible?
No,
No, it's not audible.
not audible, but visible only.
Yes, yes, now it is. Make it louder.
I believe that the startup organization to be really the face Phillips. As I said, it's exciting. The findings that really surprised me was about what makes these PCs and systems are factors that actually manifest in your startup.
Why is it cracking?
No, no, cracking. I think, sir, there are two tabs open in your browser, sir, and both are blinking. Yes, sir. Two tabs are open.
Organize them and start it. You can unlock human potential in a way never before possible.
Close the open one or the previous.
If the startup organization is free, why does somebody fail?
Where's the image? Is it
So
okay
my
now?
I have from so many companies over the years. I wanted to know this. I've been starting since I was 12 years old.
Two videos are playing simultaneously, sir. Yes, sir. Please close this one. This open one, please close this.
Knowledge for software
Yeah,
companies.
two tabs.
20 years ago, I started Idea Lab, and the last 20.
Just between WhatsApp and this one how to.
It's going to get mine.
That's
fine.
Kind of, no?
It's okay, sir. The captions are coming. We can adjust with that. Prabhat, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So, one point. Okay, we can continue with that.
years, started more than 100 companies, many successes and many big failures. I learned a lot from those.
Still not okay, no?
So I tried to look across what factors counted the most for company success and failure.
No, chodo. So I think if it works well later on, we can play. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can skip this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
चलो ठीक है अभी इसको प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर कर दो फटाफट वो कुछ देख लेना तब बाद में रिप्लाई कर देंगे इसको फाइन तो इस पे we can share this on your WhatsApp group and you can watch it, right?
Okay, that will be fine.
By the time we can proceed with the presentation. Okay. So now, feasibility study requires market insight, as I told you earlier, while I was talking of the pre-feasibility study. So in pre-feasibility study level at that phase, we need to have some market insight. Market insight related to industry or market environment, related to customer, related to competitors, related to market valuation and share. These are the 4 primary domains about which we as a project manager, we as a decision maker have to take or gather insight. So what kind of insights we can require about industry or market environment? Such the information like, you know, what kinds of scope for the industry is in next 5 years, next 10 years, is it going to remain the same or is it going to drastically change? Just was the case with the Nokia, as somebody has asked from Professor Vinay Sharma in the morning about the Nokia. So what Nokia did, we all know. How did Nokia fail? We all know that when Android, when mobile manufacturing companies were going for Android versions, Nokia was still on Windows versions. And Nokia was thinking that this is Nokia and nobody can do anything to it. Nobody can defeat Nokia, but proved wrong. So that was not that thing was not foreseen by Nokia. Nokia couldn't pace with the changing technology, with the changing environment. Today's word is VUCA word. I think most of you must be knowing about VUCA word. Can anybody tell me what is VUCA? VUCA word, V-U-C-A.
Yes, so yeah, volatile, uncertain, and then I am not sure, sir.
Yeah.
That is complexity and ambiguity.
Complex and ambiguous, very right. So today's context is VUCA. Today's word is VUCA. And that things are very abruptly changing. Technology is very abruptly changing. You know, today's startups, most of them are technology driven. We can talk later on. But we have to see what is the future of this industry. What is the market environment, how the environment is stable or how the environment is going to change. We have to focus on those factors related to the industry, environment, which may have positive or negative repercussions on our business proposals, which we are proposing. Like now today, if you want to manufacture smartphones, of how much G you would manufacture? 3G, 2G, 4G? अगर आपको कोई सेल फोन कंपनी लॉन्च करनी है और सेल फोन मैन्युफैक्चर करना है, for what you will plan? Yeah, anybody can answer? Yeah. 5G. Anyone else?
Repeat the question, sir.
If you want to go for manufacturing cell phones 4G, 5G, 3G, of how much G you are going to manufacture, you are going to establish a plant for, you are going to make preparations for that. Someone has written 5G cell phones.
Greater bandwidth with low cost, sir.
No, I'm talking, my question is regarding generation. 5G, 4G, 3G.
Okay. It will be endless then.
5G. Okay. Of course, the highest generation one, 5G. Well, 5G.
No, 810 are also there. 8G is also there.
Well, I don't think that if you go for 5G, manufacturing cell phones or 5G, you will succeed because that's already there. And you know, you cannot compete with. Maybe 6G or 7G. But you cannot go for 5G cell phones because that facilities have already been created, phones have already been manufactured, right? So that is what the foresightfulness and a startup requires, a project needs. So that is the market, industry, or environment related insight. What about the customer insight? Customer insight may be related to demographics, consumer behavior related things, which I talked about before sometimes, like how much disposable income consumers are going to have in next 1 year, 2 year, or 5 years. What kind of family size, how the family life cycle is going to be in next 5-10 years in India. All those factors, demographic factors, social factors, you may need to look into while having the insight about the customers. Then comes competitors, obviously. Who are your competitors? That's very important. Many of marketing professors from you must be translating 4P to 4C. Must be doing that. 4P translated to 4C. So similarly, like product, that is convenience or customer solution. Price, that is cost, customer cost, that is. Then price, place, that is convenience to the customer. And product is solution, customer solution. And then last, price, place, promotion is communication. So that is how we have to look into all those 4 P's of your competitors, what they are foreseeing, which we cannot. Is there anything like that which we cannot foresee? What our competitors foresee? What they are planning for next 5 years, next 2 years, next 10 years? Whom we should compete right now? Whom we should target 2 years after, 5 years after? That plan we should have about our competitors. And of course, last is market valuation, market share, at what level in terms of figures I want to go, what kind of market share we want to capture. That plan we should also have. So current existing market share of your competitors, valuations, etc. we should know, and accordingly we should plan for our projects. So on these 4 parameters, our projects should be evaluated during the pre-feasibility study. Let me proceed towards the later side of the presentation. That is, what are the steps for feasibility study? That is the final phase of study, which I have already told you, quite costly. And for that, I am not telling you that everything we will be doing. Please, my faculty colleagues, please try to understand, we are nobody to do all these things. We can help our students to some extent, but for the final feasibility study, we have so many companies, we have so many professionals who can help us. We alone cannot do this. Just take note of it. We alone cannot do this. We should not venture into that. We are not master of all. We may be master of marketing. If I am master of marketing, I may not be master of operations or supply chain or finance. So I cannot have answers for all the questions related to all the domains: technology, finance, marketing, operations, supply chain, backward integration, forward integration, please take note of this, all faculty members, that wheresoever we need to involve experts while mentoring some projects of our students, we should not hesitate to touch upon those mentors, those experts of those areas. So but understanding is required. We must understand what actually we need to do at which stage of feasibility study or which stage of journey of a project. So in feasibility study stage, we have to study these three things: market analysis, flows, and SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis may be required or sometimes may not be required. Both may be one and same things. And these three components are very important to assess under the feasibility study and to finalize which project a company should go for. Market analysis, the information related to consumers, market share, current and future competitors, as some experts in the beginning sessions have told you that we have to understand that our competition for a startup should not be, our idea should not be within 1 year, maybe after 1 year, 2 years, by the time we can establish our startup. That too we have to think of. So those things we have to think of: past and current demand trends, supply trends, elasticity of demands, etc. These advertisement, promotion, marketing channel, distribution, export, import, etc. kinds of market related insights we need to understand, and we need to sensitize our students towards these things. Then comes TEFLOS analysis. TEFLOS stands for technical, E stands for ecological and economic, F for financial, L for legal, O for operational, and S for scheduling. Here we can quickly look upon these technical aspects of TEFLOS include engineering aspects of the product or plants, need of technology, future technology, present technology, location, production capacities, establishing production capacities, comprising of technical teams, etc. Then ecological feasibility comprises of environmental stress, environmental this. What are the environmental provisions which we have to comply upon? What can be threats of the product, material, packaging, etc. we are going to use, which may be banned in future? What are the risks for society, for the country, of those materials which our company is going to use? What about the depletion of natural resources? Green consumerism, increasing green consumerism may be a challenge in future for your project. If it is so, we have to figure it out well in advance before investing huge money in the project implementation. That is why we have to understand and check ecological, checklist. And then we have to proceed economic feasibility aspect, which we have to evaluate our project on social cost and benefit analysis. I think Deepak ji is right person to talk about what is the cost and benefit, social cost and benefit analysis. Deepak ji is from area of economics.
Well, basically, social cost benefit analysis also takes into consideration the shadow costing and shadow pricing of any product. So that concept not only considers the utility of the product, but also the usefulness. So rather than focusing only the consumerism, the mindful consumption and conscious consumerism is the key word which is taking.
Very nice, very nice. Mindful consumption. That's very relevant component of this social cost benefit analysis from consumer side. On marketeer side, it should not be the focus on profitability. It should not be the focus on selling. Rather, it should be focus on whether your product is going to benefit and not going to hazardous in future for consumers after consumption of for say 5 years, 2 years, 3 years. We have to check. This is our responsibility as a marketeer, as a manufacturer, that the product may not have any hazardous effects of long-term consumptions. Like अभी तो कोई यूज कर रहा है बड़ा अच्छा है, but उसके एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स आने लग जाएं। अभी हम लोग इतना मोबाइल सेल फोन यूज करते हैं एंड आफ्टर 10 years 20 years डिमेंशिया हो जाए या इस तरीके की कुछ दिमागी बीमारियां होने लग जाएं। So that we as a marketeer, responsible marketeer, have to check. Maybe today India is not very much conscious about, but tomorrow may be the case when India may have so many laws and legislations to check all these things. So that is something social cost benefit analysis. Marketeers need to check it. Financial feasibility. Some of you are from finance background. How much investment we need for the project, where from we would get that fund, how would be the form of funds we would be getting, attracting, cost of capital would be what, cash flow would be how much, NPV, IRR, level of risk, profitability. So many things are there which we need to consider while financial feasibility study. This is very, 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 very important, as finance is lifeblood of the project or of the organization. We have to be very serious about it. How much funds we require, from what sources we require that fund, those who are willing to provide fund wants what from me? Do they want equity from me, or do they want profit from me in terms of interest or some other things? We have to see between these two things, credit in terms of debt or equity. We have to check which is beneficial for a startup at which stage and which is not. So for that also, as I am professor of marketing, it may be very, Latin, Greek and Latin to me to understand this NPV, IRR, etc., etc. So what would I do as a faculty? I would definitely consult my fellow colleague from the area of finance. I should not hesitate, because decision making should be in the light of adequate information. So that is what something financial feasibility. Then legal feasibility, as you know, laws of land, whatsoever it is. If you are operating in UP, then you have to comply with state laws as well as countries' laws. IPRs, intellectual property rights, we have to take care of. Non-disclosure clauses, which Professor Rajat Agrawal was talking about yesterday. Similar kinds of, some guidelines which may be related to the legalities we have to check for our project options. Then operational feasibility, like likelihood of projects in terms of plant situation, plant location, just like Tata Nano had to go from Singur due to some political reasons, but there was problem in operational feasibilities as well. So scheduling feasibilities may be related to the project schedule, whether the project can be completed, implemented within time frame. Most of you must be aware of the term PERT and CPM. Can anybody tell me what PERT stands for?
Project evaluation.
Program evaluation and technique.
Project evaluation
and review technique.
And review.
Project evaluation and review technique, right? What is CPM?
Critical path method.
Yes, these terms are related to the project management, operations management. So now SWOT analysis, everybody understand. I'm not go in length into this. Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. We have to analyze for project A, B, C, D. So strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. And we assign some weightage. We assign some weightage to every things which we think as strength, which we think as weaknesses, which we think as opportunities and threats. And accordingly, we make a table in that we have to evaluate everything related to project A, B, C, D. And finally, we can check out which project has better score. Accordingly, we can go for that also. This is the SWOT analysis. And with the help of market analysis, SWOT analysis, and TFLOS, we will be able to identify the roadblocks. And if project A fails because of the roadblock X, drop it. If project B fails because of the roadblock Y, drop it. If project C succeeds out of all the hurdles, then go for project C. Then that's how you can take no-go or go decision. So when a project C passes through all the hurdles, scores better, you can go for a goes decision with the project C. I'm just recommending you one book. I found it very useful in context of startups. And this is written by someone who is known worldwide for his successes, for his expertise. He is Peter Thiel. He was founding member of PayPal. He funded to LinkedIn. He funded to SpaceX. He funded to hundreds of companies and established hundreds of companies. He is such a big name, Peter Thiel. And his this book is known as Gita for startups. This is like a Gita for startups. Must read book. I would definitely recommend you 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. I'm just reaching to the end of my sessions from some takeaways from this particular book. I have taken this from his preface from the very first page. Please read, Deepakji, please read louder.
Every moment in business happens only once. The next Bill Gates will not build an operating system. The next Larry Page or Sergey Brin won't make a search engine. And the next Mark Zuckerberg won't create a social network. If you are copying these guys, you aren't learning from them. Peter Thiel. Great, sir. Great.
So can anybody tell me the takeaway from this particular quote? Munnaji?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please. Takeaway.
That is apadipo bhava. Means not to copy, we have to create a new idea, innovate new things.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
A similar kind of note was made by Jack Ma when he was addressing a university student. So he said this thing that at times students say that all the good opportunities have been taken up by big entrepreneurs and businessmen. Now nothing new is left for us. So he answered to this question that opportunities and threats were there 2000 years back, and opportunities and threats will always be there 2000 years hence. And opportunities and threats are the source of new idea and business generation. So therefore there is no scarcity of new possibilities. So
absolutely. Yeah. Now next thing from the same book I'm citing over here, Peter Thiel suggests two different modes of progress. Left side graph depicts one horizontal line and one vertical line. Horizontal line depicts 1 to n and vertical line depicts 0 to 1. This 0 to 1 is a breakthrough innovation. This is something which was not earlier available, now existent. Somebody has created that. So this is 0 to 1. This is a breakthrough innovation. You can see most of the startups who are creating space in the unicorn club for themselves are from absolutely new areas. They are technology driven. They are based, most of them are based on breakthrough innovations. So all the big breakthrough innovations are 0 to 1. New thing, absolutely new thing. Just like mobile phone was not there earlier, dot phones were there. Mobile phone came into existence. This was a 0 to 1. After that, mobile phone, to till whatsoever mobile phones are there in whatsoever shape they are the result of 1 to n. In some sense, we can again say like a smartphone, from basic phone to smartphone, from Android phone, all these things may be separately, 0 to 1 innovations like Android, maybe 0 to 1. Android was not there. But so far as I am talking the hardware sense, that is incremental innovation, 1 to n. Once hand-free phone existed, then there is incremental innovation started. So that is termed as globalization. That is termed as horizontal progress. And what is the 0 to 1 innovation that gives you vertical progress? You reach at next level. You are creating something new which can have enormous opportunities. The whole world may be following that. Whereas this is copycat, horizontal progress, copycat kind of. But unfortunately, most of SMEs go for this copycat kind of model. But really, new generations which are coming out from newer, from colleges, from engineering institutes, from so many other areas, always strive for such kind of technology driven startups. So we have to opt for what kind of innovation would a country should opt for, what kind of progress countries should opt for, whether it is horizontal progress or vertical progress or both. कोई भी country ऐसी नहीं है कि केवल horizontal progress पे जा रही है, vertical progress पे जा रही है. This is somewhere in the middle, 45-degree line. That is some of horizontal progress simultaneously going on, some of vertical progress simultaneously going on. But the future of progress is definitely 0 to 1. That is technology-driven startups is the future. Technology is future. That's why we talk of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, etc., etc. So we have to sensitize our students regarding this. Next quote, Munna ji, please read louder.
The single most powerful pattern I have noticed is that successful people find value in unexpected places, and they do this by thinking about business from first principles instead of formulas.
First principles. Can anybody tell me what is first principle? First principle.
Business should be ethical, sir.
Profit orientation.
Which have
profit orientation.
Which have the methods or processes which have not been tried earlier or in the past.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Elon Musk speaks a lot about first principle. Listen to Elon Musk. He spoke in many lectures, his talks about first principle, which is based on absolutely new assumptions, new hypotheses, not based on an assumption which is not based on an old assumption, which is actually based on new assumptions. That's how he created such kinds of wonderful inventions in the world. He works on first principles a lot and always emphasize on first principle. So this is something which you have. This is the last slide. And the last, after 1.5 hour lecture, what I can say is this, which Deepak ji you can read loudly.
Okay. The paradox of teaching entrepreneurship is that such formula necessarily cannot exist, because every innovation is new and unique, and no authority can prescribe in concrete terms how to be innovative. Right, sir.
So how much FDPs you can do, how much lectures you can listen, how much YouTube videos you can listen, but the ultimate truth lies into this. Do you agree with me or not? With this quote, sorry, not with me.
Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
I mean, innovation cannot be taught, but the temperament of being innovative, being creative, That has to be the essence of teaching today. That's very rightly said, sir. And this paradox is also indicating us that it's difficult to find out the right ways to move ahead. But
Exactly.
if we keep these two things together, what Professor Sharma said so in the morning sessions, that design thinking and innovative thinking, creative thinking, these are the new terms on which the entire academics and teaching has to foster on.
Exactly. See, we have to make all the efforts for skilling. But ultimately, timings, luck, that too matters a lot. And that is what in that video in that video that Bill Gross spoke about. I would share with you the link on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Please listen to him. Wonderful 6 minutes, and crux of everything. So ultimately, I'm ending my session here. If any question, query you want to ask, please. Munna ji, anything?
No, sir, very satisfying and
Actually, it
interactive
was
session.
throughout very much engaging session.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
all the questions that rose to our mind, we got clarified right out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Really
much.
great, sir. And thanks for this wonderful book that you have suggested, sir. It's worth reading.
Yeah, two more books I'm suggesting you in next slides. Please note down. Emotional Intelligence,
Yes.
Daniel Goleman, and one of Feasibility Study. These two books are also there, which you can refer to. Please switch on your videos. Faculty colleagues, please switch on your videos so that videos can be captured and you can be registered as active participant. Yeah. Well, Vrinda ma'am, any query, anything you want to ask?
No, sir, it was very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So nice of you. Vineet ji.
Excellent session, sir. Excellent session.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Few more, please switch on a video. Few more, at least 15-20 participants should be shown as an active participants. Yeah. Suyash ji, you are from where? Sorry, it's not Suyash. Sorry ji.
Yes, sir. I'm from Surat, Gujarat.
Okay, I am talking to the person from Gujarat. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Radhika madam, where from you are?
Sir, I'm from Hyderabad.
Okay, from Hyderabad.
Yes,
Neha ma'am, where from?
sir, I'm from Meerut.
Okay, Neha Bhatia ma'am, where from you are?
Sir, I'm also from Meerut.
Very nice, very nice. Deepak Sharma.
I am from Meerut, sir.
Thank you, sir. Munna ji, you are very active participant. Yeah, all the time you keep on chatting. Yeah, good.
And one more thing I would like to tell you, sir.
Yeah.
I was using my laptop and just it was laying. Hello? Laying on the bed, but your interactivity made me to sit down and come live.
So nice of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Manjunath ji, where from you are?
I am from Karnataka, sir.
Okay, Karnataka. Actually, these sessions are so busy, engaging. I could not get time to talk to you person to person. Yeah. Rajesh Kumar ji, you are from?
I'm from Jaipur, sir.
Okay, chale. Bye. So thank you so much for being with me. Thanks a lot. We will meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.